we are in Amsterdam for the Bitcoin conference. I sat down with Adam Back, and of course, it starts trading cat and dogs. So before I'll jump into the clip, I want to say a couple of things with my friend Gareth. How are you doing, man?
Good. Mr. M, it's great to finally sit on camera. We've been talking about doing this for a while, so
yeah, I know.
It's been good to hang out in Amsterdam and shoot some good content. Yeah, man, I'm excited to finally do this with you. Yeah.
Exactly, indeed. And by the way, we met on the crazy plane, which flew from Dubai to Singapore for Token 2049.
Yep.
And basically, we're sitting next to each other, so we started talking together, and then you told me all about Cointelegraph, your role, managing editor, amazing. And then, of course, I knew you lived in Amsterdam. And actually, you were one of the reasons why I decided to come here, so that we can spend some time together and, shoot some content. It was great talking to so many people. And like I said, I'll share the clip in a minute. I think I managed to do 5 minutes with him.
Yep.
But hey.
It was unlucky.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So, I mean, I sat down with Adam and we spoke for about 40 minutes, and we spoke at length about the HBO documentary, right? Like the search for Satoshi. Obviously, Adam invented Hashcash, and he's quoted in the Bitcoin white paper. So he's someone who's hugely influential in the Bitcoin space. He's the CEO of Blockstream. They do a huge amount of different Bitcoin infrastructure services and products. And he knows a lot about Bitcoin. Some people say he's Satoshi. He's many times said he hasn't, so it's really good to sit down with him and chat to him. And I really like the angles that you took in your interview as well, just like the high-level questions from someone who really knows what he's talking about.
Thanks. I mean, I enjoy your conversation, by the way. I'll probably link in the comments down below when you publish it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I had a few more, but then of course Rain decided to interrupt. But it is what it is. Life is full of surprises. He's such a cool guy though, honestly. He's super approachable. He's nice and smiley. I know he's just gone off a 40 minutes with you. He said, yeah, let's do it. And I'm down. I was like, wow, that's...
He's super giving of his time. I mean, before I did my interview, not some random guy, but just someone who was speaking at the conference, wanted to chat to him, and Adam literally gave like 25, 30 minutes of his time just talking to him. So if you see Adam back at a conference, go and say hello. Like he'll talk to you and he'll answer any of your questions. And it's just really nice that a lot of people in the industry, a lot of the people that really matter, especially in the Bitcoin ecosystem, are actually quite approachable, and they're willing to speak to people.
Exactly. And coming from you is a lot, because Gareth spoke with a lot of cool people and good people, so if you say something like this, I agree, by the way, he seems super approachable. He was like, yeah, let's do it, I don't mind. Even last night at the event with Matt, he said, yeah, here's my Telegram, message me, we'll make it happen. He said, you have to insist. Of course, he's being bombarded. But if you think about the level of people we had here in such a small conference, it's mind-blowing, honestly.
Yeah, it is pretty good. That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, I think it's your first, it's your second big Bitcoin conference, right? You went to Nashville. The thing is, you went to Nashville, and I don't think it gets better than Nashville. It's like Donald Trump and all the big Bitcoiners. Michael Saylor was there. Like everyone you would want to hear from who matters in Bitcoin was in Nashville. So I think it was always going to be hard to top that. I've come to this conference 3 times in a row. I live in Amsterdam. The speakers this year were probably not as high profile as the speakers of previous years, but still really good. Adam Back, Jack Mallers, Elizabeth Stark from Lightning Labs, a lot of different people. We could name a load of names.
Yeah.
But it's been really good. I wanted to ask you, what did you think?
Yeah, that's a good angle. I mean, to me, the smaller the better, to be honest, because you can actually connect with people. Like Nashville was an absolute madness. Like floors, multiple floors, people everywhere. And yes, of course, you had Trump, you had Saylor, but they've been bombarded by everybody. So it was really hard to get hold on people. But they're here, on the other hand, like last night, we had probably 300 people at the event, maybe?
Yeah.
So you could actually go to them and approach, say, hey, hello, I have a podcast. I have some really good lined up coming in, so I'm not going to spoil it. You have to subscribe and stay tuned. But I was impressed by how easy it is to talk to people. Whether Nashville, as much as I enjoyed it, it was a very different conference. So I'm glad they do small, big, and medium kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wonder what Abu Dhabi is going to be in December.
Yeah, I think it's going to be bigger. They've already touched base with us to go and cover the conference. I don't know if I'm going to be there. I'm going home to South Africa, but you live in Dubai, so you know how hard they're pushing to make the UAE like a hub for Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, Web3, AI. They're pushing hard, right? So it should be good.
Yeah, I think so. I'm expecting good things about Abu Dhabi. I'll be there for sure, so stay tuned, guys. But I don't know, maybe somewhere in between. I don't think it's going to be as big as Nashville, but not as probably small as Amsterdam. And by the way, this is not a small thing. I think I've heard 15,000 people overall attend. I'm not sure.
Overall, I think so. I think the day number was about like 5,000 a day.
6,000, yeah, I think
which
so.
is pretty, I mean, it's great for Amsterdam. Like, I mean, everyone knows Amsterdam, but it's not a big city. It's not a big city. But in the grand scheme of big cities, this is not a big city. I mean, it's not. So it's a pretty good turnout. And I think the Netherlands also has a lot more sort of Bitcoin and crypto enthusiasts than a lot of people realize. And, you know, if you have Jack Mallers coming to town or Adam Back, why not buy a ticket and come to the conference? That's the whole point of these things, you know?
Exactly.
And like you say, you can walk around. I mean, Jack Mallers walked in the door and you're like, hey, Jack.
Yeah, you had the idea to do a clip before the interview. I thought it was such a fantastic touch. Also, we have something together we wanted.
Yeah.
So win-win right there. Gareth, you're a legend. Thank you. Guys, enjoy the clip. See you on the next one. Adam, Amsterdam 2024, Bitcoin conference. Were you expecting that when you first received the email from Satoshi?
Well, I was part of the previous to Bitcoin electronic cash excitement, which is there was David Chorm, who's a well-known academic cryptographer who went on to found a startup that operated actually in the Netherlands here called DigiCash. And, you know, the technical community was very interested about it, but it was kind of similar to Bitcoin's early days because it didn't reach full adoption. It was a bit more like a stable coin, so they were relying on a bank partner, and it was a centralized architecture. So unfortunately, that company didn't succeed financially, and so when it went under, the centralized double spend database went away, and so anybody with coins couldn't really prove whether they were spent or not. So that was kind of the end of it. And but the excitement was there. It just wasn't nearly as big, right? And of course, it didn't have the investment like digital gold phenomena, but still people were excited about bearer, unseizable electronic cash with strong privacy. So you see that, as coming in a Bitcoin story as well, right? So, of course, Bitcoin has just come like much further, much faster, and has other attributes that are very different. So it's decentralized. It has the gold-like phenomena where the previous systems were pretty much stable coins.
Thank you for that. I mean, gold is 18 trillion more or less. We are hovering around $1 trillion more or less for Bitcoin. I mean, do you see it going further up? Is it too late? Is it too early? What do you think?
No, I mean, I think it's still early. We're in a sort of a technical sector, so we're talking with other people frequently, and so we get the sort of informal impression that lots of people know about Bitcoin, but it's actually still very small for the global audience. So. I think there's a lot of upside. I think the first kind of sort of logical target or competition would be with physical gold itself. And as you said, the market cap there around 15 to 18 trillion, depending on the price. Of course, it's a little bit elevated at the moment because of global uncertainty and macro conditions that governments start buying gold and push the price up. But I think there's really already a prospect that Bitcoin itself has taken a little bit of the shine off gold because price is set at the margin, which is to mean many people are not actively trading. Price is set by the people who do trade, and some people I think have sold gold ETFs, a bit of gold ETF outflow, and put that into Bitcoin. And the reason how you can reconcile that is the proportion of gold that is in ETFs is actually a very small portion of the gold market. The physical gold held by governments is physical and not on that market. So sort of different markets there. So I think it's still very early, and there are lots of new investors given access to the market. I think about the ETFs, while it's not controlling your own keys, so it loses something. It's still an entry point, and it gives access to a different group of potential users who might learn more and start to do some self-custody and some electronic cash, smartphones later.
Not your keys, not your cheese, we say. So are ETF a bad thing? Are ETF a good thing? Do you think we need them? What's your take?
I think that you do need a certain proportion of Bitcoin to be held with keys and for power users to be able to run full nodes, and for, global peer-to-peer payments to be happening, because that's the fundamental value, right? So you could think about the Bitcoin ETF as sort of like buying internet stocks, like Cisco and the companies building browsers in the early days of the internet versus the actual people using it, right? So some people might have invested in those technology companies even if they were skeptical about, they didn't personally have a use case for the internet, or they were skeptical about it because it was early, right? So I think you do need both, and the ETFs are improving access. So, there are two use cases. One is day-to-day payment, and the other one is savings. And I think they are sort of self-reinforcing things, because if you think about it, saving is a form of spending in the future, right? So it's you still need spendability for savings, because you're saving to fund some activity in the future.
Natalie Brunel said volatility is a feature, not a bug. How do you deal with it? Because this thing has gone banana hala, right? You've seen it all, probably from literally next to nothing to where we are now. How do you deal with it?
For people who haven't done stock trading before, I was a bit of a kind of day trader back in the mid-90s, and sort of learned to adapt to volatility. Of course, stocks are volatile too and go through market cycles and things like that, right? So I think the general point is, if you have like a cash reserve, if your car breaks down or you have to replace something, generally you want a bit of cash reserve so you can cover that exceptional expense, and you don't want too much volatility on that cash reserve. So that's a kind of short-term savings thing. But if people are saving for the long term, like saving up to buy a house or for retirement, then generally the advice is that you can look at kind of long-term horizon, and then generally you do better investing in the stock market than in like an interest account or something like that, right? So I think it's the same thing with Bitcoin. It does very well over the long term, but of course the volatility is much bigger, and I think that's sort of fundamental because it's going through a rapid adoption phase, so the volatility is an unavoidable side effect.
It's training, so we have to wrap it up. Thanks, Adam. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.